What's up guys, my name's Seth, you're watching Petrol 360 and today we have a quick update on the F100. What's up guys, so we are back working on the 1964 F100. If you haven't watched any of the other videos, this was my grandpa's truck. He daily drove it for a while. The engine ended up going bad. I was supposed to swap another motor in it for him, ended up moving and nothing happened to it, and so I ended up buying the truck, and now me and my dad are going through and rebuilding this truck. So we're using a Crown Vic front suspension, Crown Vic rear axle, Ford 351 Windsor motor, and a 5-speed manual transmission. So in the last video, we were kind of in between a lot of fab stuff. We've gotten quite a bit of stuff done, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at it. All right, so I don't know exactly where we were with the last video, but the front clip is hanging back on the truck now. One cosmetic thing we did was we went ahead and got some Amazon lights. We've seen these on other cars. They seem to work pretty well. They look pretty good. It's gonna be kind of nice. We're gonna have like modern lights, modern wheels, but the rest of the truck's gonna be exactly how it looks right now. So we put the front clip back on so we can start mocking up the entire engine bay. We're gonna have everything mocked up before we actually get it running, so we know where everything is, all the holes that we need to drill and all that. So once we get everything mocked up, all this is gonna come back apart. Fenders are getting painted, firewall is getting painted, engine is being gone through a soft rebuild, so new gaskets, water pump, oil pump, camshaft, all that kind of stuff. Not doing rings and bearings, bottom end stuff, but we're gonna do everything else. So we do have a radiator. This is just like a cheap eBay, Amazon radiator, 3-pass, or 3-core, not pass. I've had really good luck with these, so I don't think we're having any problems with it. We are probably gonna run AC one day, and we do have tons of room there, but we are gonna run electric fans since we are planning on running AC. I have built a sheet metal fan shroud for this. Haven't ordered or decided on exactly which fans we're gonna go with. Looking at maybe some Mishimotos. We wanna try and get as much CFM through there as possible. Other words, brakes are almost completely done. All of the lines are plumbed other than the line going to the passenger side front. I need the front clip to be back off in order to finish bending this line out. I've got a test piece that runs up and down. Just need the front clip to come back off to pass it through there. We're also gonna redo some of the stuff that just didn't turn out very well, but that's, you know, all as it comes. And we do have the clutch master cylinder mounted in there. There is spots for a factory clutch master cylinder in these cabs. We did have to reorientate it. So we have a spacer plate inside of here that we welded onto to make this exact master cylinder fit. This master cylinder is from like a mid-90s, early 90s F150, because this transmission is out of a mid-90s F150. This is the M5ODR2, so it's the Mazda 5-speed. You know, it is a truck transmission, but it's exactly what we wanted for this truck because we're still going to use it as a truck. In other news, we got all the front accessories have been powder coated. Went ahead and took the time and powder coating the alternator housing, and we did clear coat the outside of this. This is clear powder coat. I did that because I've had really bad experience with bare aluminum in the past. It just gets dirty and you cannot clean it once oil gets in it. And if you've ever had a Ford or any small block, you know that all kinds of trash just gets down in these cavities and you can't clean it. And just did that to help ourselves out later on. Another thing, we decided we're not gonna run the battery here. We're gonna run it on the frame rail underneath the truck, but we just haven't removed that yet. And we actually haven't installed the battery. Fuel lines have been completely run. This is a bypass regulator. So we are running a 350 Walboro pump in the gas tank because we're planning on running EFI down the road. But for right now, this is a Holey unit that drops down the pressure down to from 45, 50 PSI down to the 6 PSI that the Holey needs. And then it dumps the excess pressure back into the tank. So this is a return style carbureted regulator. So it's what we need to run a carburetor with an EFI fuel pump. All right, so jumping to the inside of the truck. Not too much is happening here. We do have a really big hole for our 5-speed where I kept the plate that we cut out. I'm gonna add a flange around the outside of it and then riv nut into the actual cab floor so we can remove it. because to remove this top plate, you'd have to drop the whole transmission, which would be a pain. But with this big of a hole, now we can remove this top plate to service it or check the transmission or change the shifter, anything like that we can do inside the truck. The floor pans are pretty bad. They're not horrible, but we do have some small pinholes, but we're not changing those right now. We're just gonna try and get the truck on the road because this is something we can do after the truck's running and driving. The other thing, the gas tank's gone. I think we've already talked about that. It's going in the back underneath the bed, and we did add shoulder harnesses. So this truck had no seat belts whenever we got it, but this is gonna be really nice and safe as we go forward. The column is in. This is not the steering wheel we're gonna be running. I've got to fix a couple cracks in the steering wheel because the steering wheel and the steering column are gonna get repainted with body color. And on the topic of body color, I'll talk about the back of the truck. So there wasn't tons of rust in this truck. The floor of the bed was pretty bad, but it's already been replaced. But the rear cab corners were the next bad spots. This cab corner was really bad. Rust all on the bottom here. Typical for a truck of this age, but I did go ahead and replace those. It wasn't planned on for what we were doing right now, but we're here, we have access to it, so we went ahead and replaced them. So I replaced both sides, driver and passenger. Driver's side was much better. Didn't have to replace near as much metal. And we just decided, we're not planning on painting the truck right now, but we went ahead and decided on an actual color. So if we ever do decide to repaint the entire truck, this section's done so we don't have to pull the bed off again. So we're prepping this. This is gonna get completely repainted. We'll probably just run this whole area up to this body line here and repaint all that and paint the back of the bed in the color that we chose, which is really similar to this color. It's just a color for 1965 rather than 1964. It's a little bit darker, which is really similar to that color. But here's a kind of a quick look at some of the pictures of how this cab corner went. All right, last and definitely not least is the rear end of the truck. So like I said, this is a Ford 8.8 out of the Crown Victoria. Decided to use this rather than the Ford 9-inch because to upgrade the Ford 9-inch with an LSD, the gears that we wanted, and convert to disc brake and sway bar and everything that this axle offers was gonna be crazy outpriced. These axles are pretty cheap. They hold more than enough power than we'll ever put through it, and it's easy, the track width's correct, the bolt pattern's correct to match the front end. So again, this is a Ford 8.8, 355 gears. I decided to go with a really good highway gear because that's what we're planning on using this truck for. We did get new leaf springs. These actually have an extra leaf in them from the factory ones. That way we have the ability of more payload, or if we decide it rides too rough, we can pull that leaf out. It was the same cost, so we just went ahead and got the extra leaf. Sway bar is mounted on there. It's just a factory sway bar. Let's see, the e-brake cables still need to be finished. We just need to add a lever underneath here to get the leverage that we need to get the e-brake to hold. Shocks aren't mounted, but the shock brackets and everything are on there. The shocks go down to the bottom of the U-bolt brackets. And then the gas tank, we decided to go with the Mustang gas tank like a lot of people do. We are not using the factory style that goes underneath it. We're keeping the cinder to use for gas level, but we decided to go with a tank's in-tank unit. So this small hole in the top is where our fuel pump passes into. Again, it's a Walboro 355, and then fuel lines run off the side. It's gonna have the filter, on the tip of it, and we're also mounting a inline fuel filter somewhere right here. I think it's all -6 push lock fittings. It's gonna be super, super nice. So I think that's about it. That's kind of where we're at with the truck. We're actually making pretty good progress. I know it seems like it's going really slow, but things like sandblasting the rear half of the frame and painting it and the axle and all that kind of stuff just takes up a ton of time, and ordering all the bits and pieces. And anytime you build a truck like this, it's just gonna take time. But from here, we're gonna take and completely build out the truck, and we're gonna have all the wiring hooked up, all the plumbing hooked up, everything that we need run inside of this truck, so that when we go to final assemble it, we're not gonna run into issues where we're drilling through fresh paint or anything like that. So we've still definitely got some time that we got to put into it. We need all the coolant lines, we need to place the battery, run all those cables and everything like that. But once we hit that point, it's just gonna be a matter of pulling it all off and painting and prepping it. And then the only thing that we have to really work on is the motor, and we're gonna do new gaskets, new pumps and all that kind of stuff, so that that motor is ready to go when we set it back down into the truck. But just wanted to give you guys a quick update. It has been a really long time. We have gotten a lot done. Probably the next step is getting ready to paint the back of the cab, which I'm nervous about. I'm not a painter. I am trying to use a paint gun and real decent paint that I got at an actual automotive store. So a little nervous about that, but hey, it's all about learning. So thanks for checking out this video, guys. Hope you stick around for the next one, and hopefully we'll have this truck pretty much fully assembled in the next video. So thanks for watching.